Good day and welcome back to the channel, where we like to take inside looks at different machinery John Deere's produced and go over some little known facts. Today, we're looking at the John Deere 2520. We're going to be looking into a brief history of this tractor and going over some lesser known facts, so let's get into it. The 2520 was a row crop tractor produced in Waterloo, Iowa from 1968 to 1972. Now this tractor is normally outshadowed by the 30 and 4020, and we're going to be doing a little comparing to those tractors and see why this was the correct tractor for some farmers. The predecessor to the 2520 is the 2510. Now the 2510 was offered in gas and diesel variants. The 2510 had about a 54 horsepower rating at the PTO, and we'd come to see a slight boost when we got to the 2520. Another thing about the 2510 is there's 513 gas power shift tractors built, and this is the rarest style of the 2510, but we'll see an even more rare one when we get to the 2520. It was in late 68 that they began producing these 2520s, but it wasn't until 69 that they fully released it, alongside the updated 30 and 4020s. One of the big differences that they changed was moving the hydraulics from off the dash to the side, next to the seat. Another thing Deere changed in 69 was going away from the 24 volt system. Now the 24 volt system used a generator instead of an alternator that we know today. But in 69, John Deere would start putting alternators on their new tractors and going to a 12 volt system. The 2520 would be John Deere's smallest row crop tractor available through those years and would go on to serve the needs of the smaller farmer. Coming in at only 61 horsepower at the PTO, it was quite a difference from the 3020s and 4020s. The 3020 would come in at about 75 horse, where the 4020 would be just over 100. One of the best parts about the 2520 is you were getting a smaller tractor, but you were still getting all the features that were on the 30 and 4020s that people have grown to love to this day. The 2520 would be available in two different engines, including a 219 cubic inch diesel 4-cylinder engine and a 202 cubic inch gasoline 4-cylinder engine. One big difference between 4 and 6-cylinder engines is on a 4-cylinder you have to balance it, whereas a 6-cylinder is naturally balanced. So on the 2520s, they decided to use balancing shafts, which would prove a little bit different than what the 3020 used, where the 3020 would use a balancing box, which would consist of shafts in a box that would sit in the crankcase. Now in those 4.5 years, John Deere only built 6,300 total 2520s, which if you look at it really isn't that many compared to the 30 and 4020s. For example, the 4020 is sold over 184,000. Moving on to some other features of the 2520, it was offered in a diesel and a gas as I stated before, but for transmissions, you had the option of power shift or synchro. There was also some high crops made, and this is where we're going to get our rarest 2520. The most common variant of this tractor came with a synchro transmission, where John Deere split the diesel and gas about evenly. But as it starts to get a little more rare, we move on to the diesel power shift. Now they only made 356 diesel power shifts, which they're pretty cool if you see one today. Even more rare, we go down to the gas power shift, which they only produced 122 of. Getting even more rare, we get the diesel high crop, which is only 98 produced. And the rarest of them all is going to be a gas high crop, which they only produced 8 of these. Back in 2009 in Lamars, Iowa, a 1971 2520 high crop diesel sold for $64,000 on auction. Farmers attached all kinds of implements to the 2520, including some loaders. The John Deere loaders that would fit on here would be the John Deere 48 and the John Deere 148. Farmers would also go on to put cultivators on here. With a narrow front, it made for a good machine for maneuvering tight spots. Another slight change John Deere would make in 69 would be changing their muffler. Now up to now they'd been using round mufflers, but they decided to go with an oval muffler, giving you a little bit better visibility and a little bit quieter. And as John Deere would finish up the run on these tractors in 72, the demand for a smaller tractor like this just wasn't there, and John Deere decided to move on, releasing the 30 series. The smallest row crop tractor they would produce would be the 4030. Now this tractor was still an 80 horse tractor, which is still quite a bump from a 2520. So let me know down in the comments if you've ever ran a 2510 or 2520 and what you've thought of it. Anyways guys, that's going to do it for the 2520. If you have a tractor you want me to talk about, let me know that as well. Anyways, thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next one.